In solo leveling, Sung Jin-Woo possesses the power to create a shadow army, and every soldier within it falls into 7 ranks. Each rank marks a massive leap in strength, from basic foot soldiers to near godlike commanders. Normal grade shadows are the weakest, roughly as strong as low-rank hunters. Then come the elite grade, matching B ranks, and the knight grade, powerful enough to rival A ranks. The elite knight grade shadows reach low S rank levels and can fight independently. Above them are the general grade shadows, strong enough to challenge advanced S rank hunters and capable of speech. Beyond that are the marshal grade, the peak of shadow evolution. And at the very top sits the grand marshal grade, the strongest of them all, serving directly beside Jin-Woo himself. This is every shadow Sung Jin-Woo created for his army. Shadow number 1, Igris, the blood-red commander. Igris was the first major shadow Jin-Woo ever obtained, a turning point that defined his evolution as a hunter. Originally, Igris was the blood-red commander knight guarding the Kartanon Temple. When Jin-Woo cleared that dungeon, he faced Igris in a duel that nearly killed him. After winning, Jin-Woo used shadow extraction for the first time on a powerful opponent, successfully reviving Igris as his very first named shadow. When Igris was first created, he held the knight grade rank, a powerful but mid-level position within the shadow hierarchy. Over time, through countless battles and accumulated experience, Igris evolved and was promoted all the way to marshal grade, placing him among the highest-ranking officers in Jin-Woo's army. His growth demonstrates that shadows can develop just like living beings, increasing in both power and intelligence through combat. Igris's fighting style reflects his disciplined, knightly origins. He wields a massive longsword with expert precision, combining strength, agility, and defensive mastery. In combat, he serves as both vanguard and protector, often fighting on the front lines or directly beside Jin-Woo. Among his advanced abilities, Igris wields Ruler's Hand, a form of telekinesis that allows him to move and manipulate objects through sheer will. This includes recalling his sword, restraining enemies, and deflecting attacks without direct contact. This ability later develops into Ruler's Authority, a refined and more powerful version of the same technique, granting enhanced precision and control. Igris's regenerative ability is exceptional even among high-ranking shadows, allowing him to recover quickly from destruction. Through discipline, loyalty, and continued evolution, he became one of Jin-Woo's most reliable commanders, the foundation upon which the Shadow Monarch's army was built. Shadow number 2, Tank, the Alpha Ice Bear. Jin-Woo encountered Tank during the Red Gate incident when his party became trapped in a frozen wasteland that functioned as an isolated sub-dungeon. Cut off from the outside world and surrounded by high-level monsters, the group struggled to survive in the extreme cold. Deep within the frozen tundra, they came face-to-face with a group of ferocious ice bears. These apex predators were hostile, aggressive, and threatening to the group beyond the environmental challenges. Jin-Woo used his shadow army to dispose of most of the threat until he came across the final Alpha Ice Bear. After a difficult battle, Jin-Woo managed to slay the creature using Igris to behead the Alpha Ice Bear and immediately use shadow extraction on its corpse. The attempt succeeded, and the Alpha Ice Bear was reborn as Tank, one of Jin-Woo's earliest and most loyal beast-type shadows. When first created, Tank held the elite grade rank, making it roughly equal in power to a B-rank hunter. Through continued combat experience and the overall strengthening of Jin-Woo's shadow army, Tank later evolved to knight grade, increasing its durability and destructive potential. Tank's abilities focus on raw physical power and defense. Its claws and fangs are powerful enough to pierce magical barriers, and its thick hide can withstand both physical and magical attacks. As a beast-type shadow, its body size can expand slightly with Jin-Woo's mana output, allowing it to serve as a living wall during large-scale battles. Its regeneration rate is also notably high, making it ideal for prolonged combat where endurance matters more than agility. Despite lacking human intelligence, Tank exhibits obedience and tactical awareness. It follows Jin-Woo's commands instantly, often charging ahead to absorb enemy assaults or crush enemy lines. Within the Shadow Army's hierarchy, Tank fulfills the role of heavy frontline support, the shield and hammer of Jin-Woo's advancing forces. Shadow number 3, Iron, the Shadow of Kim Chul. Iron was the first human to be added to Jin-Woo's Shadow Army. In life, he was Kim Chul, an A-rank tank from the White Tiger Guild, arrogant, prideful, and convinced of his own superiority. During the Red Gate incident, Kim Chul led the expedition team that became trapped inside a frozen wasteland after the gate sealed itself shut. Once inside, he divided the group by strength, keeping the most capable hunters on his side while assigning Jin-Woo to lead the weaker members. His poor leadership quickly led to disaster. The extreme cold, lack of food, and constant monster attacks left his team frostbitten and starving. When a group of Yetis ambushed them, his formation collapsed. Hunters began dying one after another. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo's smaller team survived comfortably, hunting for food, building shelter, and maintaining morale. When Kim Chul discovered this, his frustration turned to rage. Convinced that Jin-Woo was mocking him, he attacked in blind fury, only to be knocked unconscious with minimal effort. When he regained consciousness, his mind was fractured beyond recovery. In the final battle against Beruka, the Ice Elf King, Kim Chul charged Jin-Woo again, this time completely unhinged. Before he could land a blow, Igris emerged and impaled him instantly. Moments after the fight, Jin-Woo used shadow extraction on Kim Chul's corpse, successfully reviving him as Iron, his first humanoid shadow born from a human. Iron began as a Night Grade shadow, later evolving to Elite Night Grade as Jin-Woo's Shadow Army grew in strength. Retaining the physique and combat instincts of his former self, Iron became a powerhouse on the battlefield. His strength reached S-rank levels, capable of killing giants with a single swing. Iron's signature skill, Shout of Provocation, is a berserker ability that forces enemies to attack him instead of his allies. Combined with his immense endurance and heavy armor, it makes him the perfect frontline tank. Though his arrogance died with his human self, Iron's fierce presence and unbreakable loyalty earned him a permanent place among Jin-Woo's most dependable shadows, a tragic redemption for a man whose pride once destroyed him. Shadow number 4. Tusk, the High Orc Shaman. Jin-Woo encountered Tusk during the Hunters Guild Gate arc, when he joined the Hunters Guild's A-rank raid as an observer. What was supposed to be a standard A-rank dungeon turned out to be far more dangerous than anyone anticipated. The monsters inside were High Orcs, far stronger, faster, and more organized than the guild had prepared for. Within minutes, the raid fell into disarray as the High Orcs wiped out experienced hunters with overwhelming force. At the center of it all was Kargalgan, the High Orc Shaman King, a powerful caster who commanded his army through barrier spells, fire magic, and large-scale incantations. His intelligence and coordination made him unlike any boss the Hunters Guild had faced before. When the team began to collapse, Jin-Woo intervened, single-handedly turning the tide and killing Kargalgan in direct combat. After the battle, Jin-Woo used shadow extraction on Kargalgan's corpse. The process failed several times before finally succeeding, reviving him as Tusk, the first mage-type shadow in the army. Tusk began as an Elite Night Grade shadow and later evolved to General Grade, reflecting his immense magical potential and command capabilities. His signature spells, Hymn of the Fire Dragon, Hymn of Giants, and Gravitation Magic, allow him to annihilate entire enemy groups or crush them under his control. When empowered by the Orb of Avarice, his flames can burn through even giant-class enemies in a single attack. Within the Shadow Army, Tusk serves as the chief magic commander, providing large-scale bombardment and magical support in major battles. His intelligence, precision, and loyalty make him one of the most essential figures in Jin-Woo's army, the embodiment of the Shadow Monarch's mastery over both might and magic. Shadow number 5, Kaisle, the Wyvern Mount. Jin-Woo obtained Kaisle during the Return to Demon Castle arc, when he revisited the Demon Castle to clear its remaining floors and confront its final boss. At the top, on the 100th floor, he faced Beru, the Monarch of White Flames, one of the most powerful entities Jin-Woo had encountered so far. Beru commanded an army of elite demons and rode a massive wyvern named Kaisle, a creature capable of flight and devastating flame attacks. After defeating Beru and his army, Iron dragged Kaisle's corpse before Jin-Woo. He used shadow extraction, successfully reviving the wyvern as Kaisle, the first aerial unit in the Shadow Army. Kaisle was an Elite Night Grade shadow and functioned primarily as an aerial transport and mobility unit, rather than a combat shadow. His presence allowed Jin-Woo to move swiftly across battlefields and command his forces from above, solidifying his dominance both on the ground and in the sky. Shadow number 6, Beru, the Ant King. Jin-Woo acquired Beru during the Jeju Island raid arc, a large-scale operation to reclaim Jeju Island from the ant monsters that had dominated it for years. At the top of their hive stood the Ant King, a creature so powerful it wiped out entire strike teams and killed multiple S-rank hunters, including Japan's strongest, Goto Ryuji. When Jin-Woo arrived, the battlefield was already lost. He entered the ant nest alone and confronted the Ant King in single combat. The fight was fierce. The Ant King's speed and strength rivaled Jin-Woo's own, but ultimately Jin-Woo prevailed. Immediately after the kill, he used shadow extraction, successfully reviving the monster as Beru. Beru was created as a general grade shadow and later promoted to marshal grade as Jin-Woo's power and army evolved. His abilities include flight, extreme speed, regenerative healing, and venomous claws capable of paralyzing or killing S-rank opponents instantly. Beru also retains his intelligence and hive instincts, allowing him to lead other shadows independently in combat. As one of Jin-Woo's highest-ranking officers, Beru serves as the army's aerial assault and extermination commander. His agility, lethal precision, and unwavering loyalty make him one of the Shadow Monarch's most dangerous and efficient creations. Shadow number 7, Jima, the Naga leader. Jin-Woo created Jima after defeating the boss Naga during one of his solo gate raids, as shown in Chapter 122. The dungeon was overrun with Naga-type monsters, and the boss Naga stood as their ruler, an enormous serpent capable of manipulating water and crushing enemies with its coils. After killing it, Jin-Woo used shadow extraction, successfully reviving the creature as Jima, one of the few aquatic shadows in his army. Jima was an elite Knight grade shadow that later advanced to general grade as Jin-Woo's power increased. Its abilities focused on aquatic combat and mobility, allowing the Shadow Army to fight effectively across water-heavy environments. With immense strength and speed, Jima could drag enemies beneath the surface or attack from below with devastating force. Though Jima appeared less frequently than Jin-Woo's main shadows, it played an important role in expanding the Shadow Monarch's influence to every corner of the battlefield, land, air, and sea alike. Shadow number 8, Greed, the Tortured Shadow. Greed was created from Hwang Dong-soo, a Korean S-rank hunter that worked in America and the younger brother of Hwang Dong-suk, whom Jin-Woo had killed earlier in his career. After learning of his brother's death, Hwang Dong-soo's obsession with revenge grew, but he knew that Jin-Woo had become far too powerful to face directly. Instead, he targeted Jin-Woo's closest ally, Yoo Jin-ho. Hwang kidnapped and tortured Jin-ho to lure Jin-Woo out, hoping to hurt him indirectly. When Jin-Woo discovered what happened, he tracked Hwang Dong-soo to an underground facility and executed him without hesitation. The shadow born from Hwang's corpse was named Greed, a general-grade shadow with power equivalent to a peak S-rank hunter. Greed retained his former strength and combat ability, making him one of the army's most capable humanoid fighters. Though emotionless and silent, he remained an efficient weapon in Jin-Woo's forces, used primarily for close-range combat and direct assaults. Greed's creation marked another step in Jin-Woo's ascent, the moment he began turning humanity's greatest hunters into his own shadows, consolidating complete dominance over both monsters and men. Shadow number 9, Bellion, the Grand Marshal. Bellion is the strongest shadow in existence and the only one to hold the title of Grand Marshal grade. Unlike Jin-Woo's other soldiers, Bellion was never created through battle. He originally served under Ashborne, the former Shadow Monarch, as his first and most trusted subordinate during the ancient war between the monarchs and rulers. After Jin-Woo inherited Ashborne's power and became the new Shadow Monarch, Bellion descended to Earth with the rest of Ashborne's original army. The moment he saw Jin-Woo, he recognized his new master and swore allegiance without hesitation. Bellion's strength is immense, so great that he easily overpowered Beru, one of Jin-Woo's most powerful shadows at the time, in a single encounter. The fight demonstrated the vast difference between Marshal grade and Grand Marshal grade power, confirming Bellion as the true pinnacle of the Shadow hierarchy. As Grand Marshal, Bellion commands the entire Shadow Army under Jin-Woo's name. His loyalty is absolute, and his presence signifies the unity of Ashborne's ancient forces and Jin-Woo's newly formed legion, the completion of the Shadow Monarch's dominion. Shadows number 10 through 13, the Lesser Armies, the High Orcs, Ice Bears, Ants, and Naga Shadows. Beyond his named commanders, Jin-Woo's army was reinforced by thousands of lesser shadows drawn from the dungeons he conquered. Among them were the High Orcs, Ice Bears, Ants, and Nagas, each group forming an essential layer of the Shadow Monarch's military structure. The High Orc shadows came from the Hunters Guild Gate, where Jin-Woo defeated Kargalgan and his tribe. Strong and organized, these warriors formed the army's core infantry. The Ice Bear shadows were created during the Red Gate incident, massive beasts adapted for cold environments and used as heavy shock units. The Ant shadows originated from Jeju Island, rebuilt under Beru's command as a disciplined aerial and ground swarm. Lastly, the Naga shadows, born from the same dungeon as Jima, provided aquatic and amphibious support, giving the army flexibility across terrain. Most of these soldiers held elite grade or knight grade ranks. They lacked individuality but operated in perfect coordination, filling every tactical gap in Jin-Woo's forces. Together, they represented the bulk strength of the Shadow Monarch's empire, the countless soldiers who turned his army from a small legion into a world-shaking force. Shadow number 14, Min Byung-gu. Min Byung-gu was an S-rank healer and one of the most respected hunters in Korea. During the Jeju Island raid arc, he joined the Korean strike team as their primary support. His healing abilities were essential to keeping the raid force alive against the Ant Horde, but the overwhelming power of the Ant King left little room for survival. Min Byung-gu was killed during the battle, and after the fight ended, Jin-Woo used his abilities to bring him back as a shadow. However, unlike most revivals, Jin-Woo realized that Min Byung-gu's consciousness still lingered, a rare case of a human soul resisting full conversion. When Jin-Woo sensed this, he released the shadow immediately, allowing Min Byung-gu to rest in peace. For a brief moment, Min Byung-gu existed as an elite knight grade shadow, retaining the healing aura that had made him invaluable in life. His short-lived resurrection revealed that Jin-Woo's power could restore even humans, but also showed the moral limits of the Shadow Monarch's control. Not all souls were meant to serve, even in loyalty. Shadow number 15. Kamish, the dragon that shook America. Kamish was the Dragon King, the most powerful magical beast in recorded history. Years before Jin-Woo's rise, it led a catastrophic invasion that required the combined strength of humanity's greatest hunters to bring it down. Its death marked the end of an era, and its massive corpse was preserved in America as a symbol of sacrifice and victory. When Jin-Woo later visited the United States, he was granted permission to attempt shadow extraction on Kamish's body. The first two attempts failed due to the corpse's immense residual mana, but the third succeeded, reviving the dragon as a shadow, even if only briefly. Kamish was a general-grade shadow, radiating overwhelming mana and capable of unleashing flame-based attacks of unmatched scale. However, because the body had been dead for far too long, the shadow's connection was unstable. Within moments of resurrection, the bond began to fade, and Jin-Woo was forced to release it before the form completely deteriorated. Shadow number 16 Giants, the skyscraper-sized infantry. The giant shadows were created during the Tokyo S-rank gate catastrophe, when 28 giants poured out of the gate and began laying waste to the city. Each giant possessed strength equal to an S-rank hunter, and Japan's Hunters Association was unable to stop them. Jin-Woo arrived in Tokyo and defeated all 28 giants on his own, ending the crisis and stabilizing the gate. Afterward, he revived many of them as elite knight-grade shadows, forming a division of towering siege soldiers within his army. Shadow number 17. Ashborne's Army, the Mythological Legion. Ashborne's army refers to the original Shadow Legion that existed long before Jin-Woo became the Shadow Monarch. These soldiers once served Ashborne, the true Monarch of Shadows, during the ancient war between the monarchs and the rulers. When Jin-Woo inherited Ashborne's powers, this army, millions strong, emerged from the void to stand before him. Among them were countless shadows of fallen kings, beasts, and soldiers from past worlds, each bound eternally to the will of the Shadow Monarch. Their loyalty transferred seamlessly to Jin-Woo, recognizing him as Ashborne's successor. The soldiers within Ashborne's army varied in rank from normal grade to marshal grade, forming the vast core of Jin-Woo's final forces. This legion's arrival marked the moment the Shadow Monarch reached his complete form, commanding not just shadows he created, but the ancient army of darkness itself, passed down through ages of war. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.